My client, according to the state's telling me this, wrote a letter about the incident, kind of an apology letter to Tierra Jones's family, is my understanding. I will say as an officer of the court, I don't remember seeing that letter in discovery. I don't believe I've ever read that letter, but, you know, I'm not going to swear to it. But then apparently there was another letter where my client, that was sent to me last night at about 9:30 or 10, which I never had seen before, to my recollection, where my client basically recanted, I guess, what he said. I'm saying I guess what he said in the original letter because I haven't seen the original letter, so I don't know what he actually said. And my belief is that the state, and they've communicated with me about this, but they're seeking to admit these letters through Investigator Griffin. And who was the homicide investigator on that case. I'm just in the blind right now about these letters. One I've never seen, and it may or may not exist. The other one I've seen, I have no reason to believe that I don't know where it came from.
Who sent it to you?
Miss Hilton.
Okay.
And it's a letter, and it's signed, the name signed is Shannon Jackson. I don't know that my client wrote that letter. I don't know where it came from.
Okay.
I don't know anything about it. And quite frankly, I just don't want, I need to know more about my client's statements.
Is this anything that's going to be dealt with this morning, or that the state intends this morning?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, can we take it up at lunchtime?
Absolutely, Your Honor. I just wanted to bring it to everyone's attention.
Okay. All right, well, obviously, we'll need to drill down on that some more, but right now, let's get the next witness on the stand.
Your Honor.
Yes.
Case
yes.
alert, and good morning to
Morning.
everyone. Case alert, this honorable court. I have not, I'm sure it's an oversight, but Ms. Hilton, I don't believe, sent me that letter, and I don't have any reason to believe from what the Honorable Mr. Schardt just said that those letters or series of letters have anything to do to further a conspiracy under 24-801 D2E. So I'll also be voicing an objection.
He's preemptively objecting.
Later when you're doing it at lunch, I want you to budget for that too.
Okay, all right, well, we'll sort it all out during the lunch break. Who's your first witness for this morning going to be?
Your Honor, we're trying to make contact with the first witness.
Well, maybe we'll be sorting it out now after all. Do you have a second witness that you could put on instead of the first witness?
Yes, we do, Your Honor. Ooh, China Eyes, help us all out.
Yes, Your Honor. We do have some other witnesses in the hallway, so we're just confirming who's, not confirmed, but just gathering who's all in the hallway to make sure, to figure out who we're going to call first since the first witness isn't here.
Okay, and you'll know that within a matter of a minute or two?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, well, in the meantime, so what's the situation with this letter?
Yes, Your Honor. So one, we're confirming that this was served in discovery, Your Honor. So Ms. Love is going to work on that while we're taking these next couple of witnesses. Mr. Stillwell was a victim in an incident in September of 2015. Right. He did an interview at police headquarters in November of 2015. Right. In that interview, he asked to write a letter to the family of Tierra Jones. That is the letter, that's the first letter that Mr. Schardt is referencing. That is the letter he does not have yet. After he wrote this, did the interview with the investigator, he actually was able to provide some information for the investigation. Subsequently, the information that he provided was put on social media. And after that information was put on social media, we have a letter purported to be from Mr. Stillwell in which he recants what he told the police officers. So that is the letter that was provided to Mr. Schardt last night, Your Honor. I didn't send it directly to Mr. Schardt since it involved his client. I will send it to all the other defense counsel, but I specifically sent it to Mr. Schardt because it involved his client, specifically, and him and I had talked about it in court yesterday, and I told him I would provide him everything that we intended to potentially seek admission so that he could have it. But again, we will confirm that it was served in discovery. If it was not served, we will not use it, but we will, that's what we are confirming, Your Honor.
Okay, and you're saying that the original November letter was never served?
That's what we're confirming.
So you need to check about both letters?
Yes, Your Honor.
Your Honor, just if this, I did not know about this. So there's further complications, such as my understanding the interview that prompted the first letter. My client was in the hospital. I don't know if he had already been served an arrest warrant for the Donovan Thomas case, but I don't believe he was Mirandized. And then there's, I guess, another interview when he's taken from the jail. I don't believe he was Mirandized for that interview either. So there's all sorts of issues with this statement that I'm trying to piece together now in real time. But it's complicated.
So I was always under the impression that Mr. Schardt had the interviews because I believe we've talked about his client's
Right,
statements.
so there are interviews and then there are
There's a letter.
letters.
Correct. So there are 3 interviews total. So
I don't think he's claiming he doesn't have the interviews.
I do not believe I received the interviews through discovery. In full candor to the court, I knew about the interviews, but the state has always said they don't plan to use the interviews.
Okay.
And we don't. I told Mr. Schardt that yesterday. So there are 2 interviews at the hospital. One on the 26th when the incident occurred, another 2 days later on the 29th of September. Then in November of 2015, Mr. Stillwell was taken from the jail to speak with Investigator Thorpe, separate and apart from his conversation with Investigator Griffin. The understanding that I have, and even in watching the interview, is that after Mr. Stillwell finished speaking with Detective Thorpe, Mr. Stillwell asked to speak to Investigator Griffin, who was the lead investigator on a case in which he was a victim.
Right.
At that point, Investigator Griffin came into the interview room, spoke with Mr. Stillwell at Mr. Stillwell's request, gave the information that he gave during that interview, and then that interview concluded. That interview is about 25 minutes long. The state, again, does not intend to play that interview unless there's a need for it, but initially when we
Well, now there might be a need for it
when
for
we
this
question
context.
Investigator Griffin, we don't intend to introduce the interview. We do intend to ask about the interview, but not play it. Then again, like I said, there was a social media post thread about the fact that Mr. Stillwell had given a statement to police about the case in which he was a victim. And then this subsequent letter came in which he recanted everything that he said in the November interview.
Okay, and the state's had both of these letters for some amount of time?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, and y'all believe you served them in discovery, but you're not sure, and so you're going to have to check that.
So the interview was served on March 20th,
care about the interview.
2023. All
The
three-
November interview?
the November and the 2 September
Okay.
interviews.
What about the letters?
And this is crazy. I mean, Schardt just spelled it out. He was in the hospital. He wasn't Mirandized. So the context of these interviews matters.
I can't hear you, I'm sorry.
In the interest of time, and so we're not guessing.
We still can't hear you.
In the interest of time. In the interest of time, and so we're not guessing for court and counsel, I think lunchtime would be a great time for us to
Okay.
be able to look to see when.
All right,
to serve.
do we have witnesses ready? Okay, who is your first witness going to be?
Yeah, so the whole chat says love is back, so of
Who
course the
is your
BS, there's a
first-
mess.
Okay, Officer Jones.
Okay, we're getting it.